Good evening and welcome to the October 2025 video conference that has been moved to November 5th, so we can do it in person at the DC event. First, I'm going to start with a call to order with the names I have in front of me. Steve.
Here.
Harold.
Present.
Sam.
Here.
Ashwini. Okay, I'll move on. Avi.
Avi also not here yet.
Sorry?
He is not here yet.
Oh, I thought you said he walked in the room. Sorry. Diego.
Here.
And Ricardo is here. Great. I would like to welcome everyone who's attending the meeting today. I don't know who else is in the audience, but I'd like to welcome you. Hopefully we have a few staff members there as well. And let me start by reading this statement. Give me 2 shakes. As the board consists of individuals from many competing organizations, OWASP and its board members shall abide by all applicable antitrust and competition laws to avoid any perceived or actual conflict of interest or antitrust concerns under the U.S. federal, state, or regulations. Only the published agenda shall be discussed or voted upon or amended as needed. If there are any conflicts of interest, board members are expected to disclose the conflict of interest and must recuse themselves from discussions and voting. So I'm gonna give you a moment right now. Does anyone have any conflicts they wish to bring forward at this time? Excuse me.
No conflicts, but Avi has just arrived. Apologies for the delay.
Okay.
Walking the wrong direction.
Yeah,
Can we
Avi's
make sure
here.
we mark Evie as present, please? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, I'm going to ask, are there any changes to the agenda? I can't really see your faces, so if someone can say yes or no.
I just want to highlight a couple of changes to the agenda since we did the board prep call. We'll be receiving a update from the chapter handbook by Ed. Is it going to be Edmund or Miriam?
Edmund, yes.
Edmund
Please.
is here,
Edmund.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
and also an
perfect.
update on
Mariam
the
is here as well.
yeah, and a update on the certification project by Shrita Kulkarni, who's in the room.
All right, great. All right, thank you very much for that, Andrew. So, out of respect for our guests, shall we get the committee and community reports updates, starting with Edmund from the LA chapter first?
I think you probably should do the minutes, and then we've got the formalities out of the road.
Yes, you're right. I did skip past that. Assuming that all directors have read the meeting from the minutes from the previous meeting, I shall vote in the same order I called roll. Steve?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Is Ashwini here yet?
No.
No? Okay. Avi?
Yes.
Diego?
Yes.
And it's a yes for myself, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm gonna-
First one's the LA chapter.
Yeah.
I think we had
Edmund
the
here?
presentation. Do you want to make Edmund the host? Edmund, will you be presenting or sorry, Mariam?
I don't have the right. I'd be happy to present if
Yeah,
given.
just give us a second. We'll make you a co-host.
All
You
right.
should...
All right.
And I'll stop sharing. You should have it now.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Well,
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present to the Global Board and the audience. This is a rough update for the performance of OWASP Los Angeles, primarily due to the tireless efforts of all its board members and volunteers. I would like to give a shout out to Mariam, who has been instrumental in creating a safe environment and encouraging all the vendors and sponsors to be able to book the sponsorship for well in advance of I think if I'm not correct, if I'm correct, all the way to 2027, we're booked solid with all sponsors. So this is a summary of what we have accomplished. So since the management or the chapter leadership of OWASP Los Angeles switched from its previous leaders to the current ones, which is Mariam Teherani, myself, and Martin Espinoza in 2023, roughly about August timeframe. We have had nearly 1,000 people added to our meetup group, and I've broken that by year, the percentage in additions. It's indicated in the left-hand top chart. And right now we're getting, we're past the halfway mark of 3,400 to 3,500. And so hopefully we'll get to 3,500 pretty soon. We're celebrating every milestone of 100 additions with social media posts and etc. We have additionally we have also been able to get $10,000 in net proceeds from all the sponsorships. So we have generated, we have had sponsors donate to the OWASP Foundation roughly $25,000 over the past year. And out of that, minus our expenses, the remaining is about roughly $10,000. We have been a cybersecurity awareness champion for the past several years, and this year wasn't an exception. And we have been doing that for several years. One of the things that we're doing to promote OWASP in Southern California primarily is going to conferences that are either directly or indirectly touching software and software development. So either a primary developer conference or a software development is part of their overall portfolio. And so we have been participating and hosted tables in about 15 of them last year so far. We have 2 more to go, I think, this year to complete our portfolio. And with that, we're printing cards that has the OWASP Top 10 or OWASP Top 10 for LLM applications, and we hand those out to all the audience, which is promotion to the general people that come visit the conferences. We have around 1,200 plus followers on LinkedIn, and we have been really active promoting and reposting all the posts that we see coming from the OWASP Foundation social media posts on LinkedIn. And over the past year, we've had 12, including the next 2 that's going to be in November and December. Every month we've had a talk by a speaker around a AppSec topic, and we've had 4 workshops. So every quarter we have a hands-on workshop as well. So this is my update. I just wanted to bring this up to the attention of the Global Board and all the OWASP members. And Mariam, if you have anything to add, you can take over.
Thank you, Edmund. Thank you. It's great meeting you all. So this is my first time joining this meeting, but the only thing that I wanted to mention is that all of the conferences that we are attending when we get the booth, they are all complimentary. We don't pay for any of the booth regarding to attend to any of the conferences. And then we have volunteers, and usually me and Edmund and Martin are hosting the tables. And this is the only thing that I wanted to mention. And we are so eager to expand and then grow OWASP LA and then general OWASP to shine with us and then grow as fast as it can be. And I wanted to welcome the new board members as well. So it's just like that's another thing that I wanted to welcome as well.
You beat me to it, Marianne. Yeah, welcome the new board.
That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Marianne. So
Thank
with
you.
that, we're concluded. Our message is concluded. If there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
No,
All right.
wonderful.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
You gave a great presentation. No questions. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Now we have a update of the chapter handbook that's going to be presented by a representative of the chapter committee.
Okay. So, Kyle, are you there, or I can do it as well?
No, I think it's Kyle's not here, Edmund. So
Okay.
if you
All
could
right. So
provide the update, that would be great.
Okay.
I'm also, in addition to leading one of the chapter leaders for OWASP Los Angeles, I'm also the vice chair of OWASP chapter committee. So the chapter handbook was revised over the past year, along with several sessions that we've had with Kyle Smith and my other colleague. I forgot his the name, skips me.
Got
What?
Garth, Garth.
Oh yeah. Hey, thank you. Garth Boyd. Yes. Thank you so much. Apologies for that. And the chapter handbook was revised. We went through that like several times and took out all the repetitions and redundant pieces and changed the language and the verbiage and etc. And it's been submitted as a pull request to the OWASP handbook repository, and it's waiting to be pulled and published on the website.
Andrew,
I'll get that. Yes, I'm getting that done now.
Great.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Edmund. I did update Andrew about this as well. So thank you for great work and updating. I know you personally have done a lot of reviews and editing of it. And congratulate the chapter committee on providing the brand new version of the Leaders Handbook, which is now updated with all references to our new policies, procedures, and obviously has a lot of information on how chapters can succeed and how they can grow their chapters, and on all the best practices and all the support and resources that they can obtain from the OWASP Foundation. Thank you.
Yeah. Great teamwork with Garth and Kyle as well. I didn't do it alone.
I know. Thanks everyone to I know we've been a hard-working team at the chapter committee.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
yeah,
Don.
definitely. We have one question.
Then, Dawn, does this have to go through, or did it go through the policy review team, or does the chapter handbook fall under that, or is it considered separate? Andrew. You're on
Andrew,
mute,
you're
Andrew.
muted.
It's not a policy. It is actually
that's-
something that's maintained by the community, and I think barriers to updating the handbooks need to be removed because, you know, in particular, like the project handbook has not been published as an official final draft for like 14 years. So,
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah.
All right. I just
so-
wasn't sure.
Yeah,
And
it's
thank
not a-
you.
It
Yeah,
needs
sorry.
it needs to reflect policy, but also current practices.
Okay. So it doesn't have to go through that process. Okay. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Edmund, what
Good question.
repo is it in?
It should be in the one that is pointing to the current that entry that says work in progress on the website. I can dig it up later and send it to you, the link.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do that offline.
Yep.
And then we can go on to the next thing. Do we have any more guests on that will be presenting and or updating
Yes, we
the
have
board?
Shruti with the updates on the certification projects. Should you want to come to the
Optimal
microphone so
certification
we could hear you?
project. Yes, please.
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
we can.
Yes.
Perfect. So I've got two updates on the projects, education-related projects that we're working on, and there is one aspirational update as well. So the first one is about OCSD. We have come a long way from Barcelona till here, but there's still a bit of a way to go. Not a bit, a long way to go. So we've got quite a bit of contributions to the OCSD project. Do I need to explain what OCSD project is?
Please do to people
That would be
might not
good.
be aware.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been working on a project called OWASP Certified Secure Software Developer Program. It's a certification program meant for developers, not to be confused with application security curriculum. This is about, it's, for example, we'll still have topics like threat modeling for the OCSD certification program, but it would not be like whether the developers should be knowing about, they should be conducting threat modeling, but they should be knowing about what different threat models are and what a threat model entails. So that's the premise of it. We started this project sometime back last year, and it's been, the curriculum has been fleshed out. It's got 15 topics, and they are all in Markdown, various Markdown files in the project. The background to creating this certification program is that companies that have regulatory requirement like PCI DSS or any other internal regulatory requirements for the developers to be trained on secure development and secure coding, this is what the certification is aimed to support such developers. Because especially for PCI DSS, there is a requirement which says that yearly the developers should be trained. And sometimes it's really difficult for people to produce that kind of evidence, but if we have got a certification program, developers can take that certification and present it to the company. So that's one important use case of it. And the second one is it's actually they are all equally important. I shouldn't have said that. This certification will actually help hiring managers to understand whether a developer can understand secure development or not, and do they implement security in their coding practices. And it also helps developers to showcase their talent. So it's a multi-pronged approach and a multi-pronged use case project that we are working on. At the moment, we are aiming towards a foundational level program wherein the questions will not be based on any particular programming language or will not be very complex. It's more around, do you know what SQL injection is? Do you know how SQL injection can be prevented? But not like write a code to address SQL injection or present a code and then ask developers to correct the code during the exam. So it's not at a very advanced level, it's at a basic level. This is what we've been working towards, and as a other side of the coin to it, we've been speaking to Prometric centers. Actually, Star, I don't know if Star is here. She has been more instrumental in speaking to the Pearson VUE. We spoke to Exin as well, and then there are cost models which need to be compared to make sure that we know what we are actually signing up to, including but not limited to intellectual property of the certification program. So with this background, we started out the project, and then the project is in GitHub repo under OWASP branch. Is that the right word to say?
That's right, the OWASP GitHub repository.
GitHub repository, and it's a sub-branch of OWASP GitHub repository, and we've been calling for contributors to contribute to the curriculum. We got a fair bit, but at the moment the content is all unstructured. It needs to be put in a proper structure so that it reflects the ask of the developers to take this certification program. That's for the OCSD project. Anything else you want to add, Sam?
No, I think you already mentioned that the contribution, because all projects that you're talking about, including the certification for developers,
Yes.
they're all structured as OWASP projects, so they're all
Yes.
open source. and all the contribution from all interested parties who have something to contribute. And it's open, and we welcome all collaboration with everyone.
Absolutely. And also we are developing a book of knowledge, which is all from OWASP. So the developers who are planning to take the certification program do not have to go and buy any material outside. It's all available open source from OWASP. So that's the update from OCSD. We got another surprise update from, I don't want to call it a project because I've put in a request for a project creation. It's more about teaching AppSec in universities and colleges. Izar is not here. Izar and I and another colleague, we worked towards it. So we created 3 modules, risk management, secure software development lifecycle, and secure operations. This is meant for a particular university in America. I think you call it colleges. I can't think of colleges because in UK, colleges mean something different and universities are a curriculum. So well, that curriculum is currently available. It's going to be moved to a project in different markdown files. The project will be created under CC BY 4 license so that anybody who actually creates branch and downloads it will have to attribute it to OWASP for using the curriculum. There is also work to be done for the curriculum in developing teaching materials, but that will be the next step to be taken. So these are my 2 concrete updates for the education-related projects that we're working on. There's a third project, which is the update is quite aspirational. We are hoping to conduct a local training event in London in February, provided we get enough quorum of trainers and that they are all available during the last week of February. That's 23rd, week starting 23rd of February. Then we can start we can look at advertising for attendees and all. This is all I've got from education-related projects update. Yes,
Thank you
sure.
very much.
Thank you.
Recognized by the chair.
Sorry?
Sounds like amazing stuff. I just have a quick comment about the training event. You need to start selling training already. 4 months is barely enough time.
Oh,
so.
I know, Avi. That's the reason why I'm here, because
Good.
I want to talk to people, understand who we can sign up for. You see, the timeline, the 23rd of February, that is immutable, because that's the study week for King's College in UK. That's the venue we've identified. So we can't move that. We need trainers to be available during that time. Just so you know, I mean, if it helps anybody, Heather, you're here, and correct me, and if I'm going anywhere astray, but we would be looking for 3 days training, 2 days training, 1 day training. It would be good if we could get 8 to 10 trainers to advertise so that we get a good mass of students and attendees to take the training course. Yeah, I hope I have been correct. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you. I mean, if you have any questions, I can take them. I'm right here anyway.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Shruti.
you very much. Great stuff. All right. I would like to thank all of our guest presenters today, Edmund, Miriam, and Shruti. We really appreciate you coming by and giving us an update in the various areas and what you've been working on. I'm very excited to see some of this stuff come to life. So let's go on to the, sorry, let me get my bearing here. Let's go on to the management report. If I can ask Andrew, if you wouldn't mind presenting for that, please.
Yep. I've corrected Edmund's spelling of his name. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. Let's go here.
And sorry, just before you start, you did say that you merged the pull requests. So I just wanted everyone who's in attendance to know that you've done that already.
Yeah, so thank you, Edmund. That's now merged. You can update the committees page to say that it's, I don't know if it's in draft still or whether or not it's ready just to be called final.
Okay, thank you.
It is with great pleasure that I am happy to announce Stacey Ebbs as our new community and marketing manager. Stacey is on the call. And
Hey, Stacy.
hey, Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Great to meet
Welcome,
you guys.
Stacy. Yes.
Thank you.
Stacy comes to us with a wealth of experience, over a decade of marketing, and previously was at Iris Risk, and will be starting with us on Monday. We are in the process of onboarding her at the moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the things that we can do with marketing that we just don't know much about. So again, the board probably has a few questions around marketing or a few pointers around marketing. I'm sure that you'll get to them. But if there's anything the board wants to highlight from a marketing perspective as priorities, let Stacy know.
Everything.
Well, we are going to start out with, as a way to get to know our community, is our annual report for 2025, which will be released in early January once we've got the financials. It's a great way for Stacey to learn our community from top to bottom. And I think it's going to be a bit of a hose fire, a fire hose of information and people. So if you do get a meeting request from Stacey, please make time for her. We are going to go back and start recruiting for the Director of Corporate Support. I'm going to be posting that to LinkedIn. And I'd really appreciate it if the board could raise that signal and get as many great candidates as we can possibly do so. As I just want to highlight, we are probably not going to make our budgeted $600,000 from corporate support this year. So I just wanted to make sure that the board is aware of this, because it will create a bit of a shortfall. We have underspent in projects a little bit and underspent on the website by a lot. So it's not going to be as bad as it could be, but it's not great either. I have started the preparations for the January 2026 special board meeting. We've invited all the new board members, Kelly and Marisa Fagan, to the board meeting in the beginning of January to decide on the officer positions. And what I'd probably suggest is that we really nail down getting to Amsterdam in late January and to have our first Q1 meeting. So I haven't had any replies to that, so I'm assuming everyone's okay to attend. If it's a bad week for you, please let me know now, because we need to start making bookings and make sure that the venue is available to us. The website update, I'll just show you. This is our new website. We are looking to go live with this version soon, but there are problems with it, and it does have a few. For example, some of the things are just plain missing. What I need to do is make sure that everything in here is as good as it possibly can be. I don't mind additions, like things that are missing that can be added as time goes on. Our current website did not get to its current state at the beginning of 2020. But inaccurate things that are there need to be resolved. And so I do think it's actually quite nice. We're going to be making it easier for chapters to self-manage their meetings. And this will be 1 or 2 clicks for a person who wants to attend a meeting to find the next chapter meeting near them, rather than the current situation, which is you have to go and find your chapter, then you have to go find the meetup page, then you have to... No, this is going to be a lot easier. So similarly with projects, I do like the new website. It is actually nice and responsive and nice and fast, but there are a few problems. Like this one says start a chapter is right there. And over here, we've got browse by categories. I really want those buttons to be like start a chapter and like the project handbook, the chapter handbook and things like that, which are much more relevant than browsing by categories, because we do actually have like a view all projects button here, which then shows you all the different, like, you know, for example, flagship projects or production projects. You can actually review this by that. So I don't think Discovery's helped by having these buttons here. I'd really like to see a handbook button, and I'd really like to see a start a project button, because they're the sort of calls to action that we like to do. So the reality is that I think it's a good improvement, but it needs to be a little bit better than it is right now. And we need to do a pen test, because otherwise the website will get a free pen test from our community, and I don't want to be fixing that on the fly. I really want to make sure that it's actually stable before we go into production. Okay. OLCU update. For those who don't know, we have been approved by the King. So we are good to go. It should be live next week. We can then open a bank account and start doing business. I will call a general meeting, and Avi, I will be pushing through those changes that the board has requested to make sure that we have good control over the Belgian entity, unlike the situation that we have today.
Andrew, can we see those in the next few weeks?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so unfortunately for the old EU entity, that does seem to be stuck in hell. I honestly don't know what to do there. I can't really, yeah, we're a little bit stuck. Let's, if anyone has good relations with Martin Knobloch, I'd love to have a chat and find out where things are. It seems like going to the bank and transferring funds would be a relatively straightforward thing to do. And it's months and months and months, and we haven't had any update. And so, and that would actually be the end of their involvement with this entity. And I would have personally thought that that might be a good thing, so that we can actually just put it past us. Operations, the onboarding, the board of directors commitment agreement. I need to do some updates to it to reflect the current edits and suggestions from the community, and in particular, we just need to make sure that it's actually maybe it's got some conditional wording in there, because not everything on that policy hasn't passed at this moment, but we need to do the onboarding, and so I hope to get that to Dawn early next week. So that affects the 4 candidates. It probably makes some sense, considering the board of directors commitment agreement is changing, whether we do it for the entire board or just the new members. I don't know. Okay, there are some chapters that will be hosting the 25th anniversary chapter meetings. We're having essentially 12 birthday parties, if you like, throughout the world. We've, you know, I'd love it to be every single chapter, but there's just too much to organize, you know, 300 odd birthday parties. So we've had to scale that vision back a little bit. Dawn's mentioning that the uncategorized funds have been updated. The ones that are actually produced here, that's the cash flow. That's not the uncategorized. Yeah. So Dawn, did you just want to give a quick update on that?
Okay, so there was a mix-up last month, communication mix-up, so a lot didn't get coded even though it was done. So I went through the whole list. I think I'm missing only one of income that we just can't figure out who sent it. So I think that's 7,500. Everything else is coded. As far as expenses, I have several, not a lot, but there's going to be some on there because certain people didn't put receipts in, and I can't figure out what it is. But Andrew's going to work on that with those people. But overall, the numbers are really going to be a lot lower starting by the end of this week. You know, income should be under 10 grand, and, you know, we're in good shape. And that will help with the accounts receivable, because everything got, it kind of put me on hold for accounts receivable because so much didn't get coded, and I don't want to contact the wrong people. So we'll be starting that, a big, a lot of calls next week, emails and stuff for receivables, but we're getting a lot of funds in. I got numerous stuff, over 50,000 for this week and so on. So we're in good shape, I think.
Yeah, so the deadline for categorization is generally the 6th or 7th of every month. So I
Fifth.
will encourage the
The
staff to
fifth.
get the oh, okay, then
Yeah.
they need to get it in by today to make sure
Well,
that it hits
yeah.
the November report. I will remind them. I will put
Yes.
mine in. Okay, and in the interests of time, what I'd like to do is go to the finance report now. As there are other reports for the individual members, chapter tickets. We are doing a transfer. We'll talk about this in the leaders meeting tomorrow. Hayden will be moving under Dawn as part of the reorganization. It's a mini reorganization with Stacey coming aboard, because Stacey's going to be picking up co-marketing. So a more equitable division of labor. And so one of the things that I really want to make sure is that we have the chapter and member tickets processed in a reasonable time, and making sure that some of the delays that we've experienced do not reoccur. Okay, going to the, are there any questions on my report before we move on?
Andrew, I do have a question, and that's about the uncategorized income again. I think my question is, has the underlying problem which caused a lot of Global income to come as uncategorized, has that now been resolved so we could move on?
Yes.
Okay, so yes is the short answer, and we have a way of doing it that is accepted by accounting, and they just need to, like, we need to provide that on time every month, and it's been delivered for this month. Then Dawn has been working on a report, which hopefully
I got notice today that it should be in today, so I'm going to be working on that, you know, later this week, or early next week, to see how it runs. So GlueUp sent it today.
Okay, Dawn, and you mentioned that only the outstanding amount uncategorized is now 7,500, right?
Yes, based on everything I have now. Lauren did the other part of the events because she was still doing that, but that wasn't on my list. That was the only one I couldn't code.
But
And
wonderful.
I
Thank you very
can
much,
send
because I know it was over $80,000, right? So
Yeah.
looks
So
like
I
you've
can
done a great
send
job.
everyone an updated at the end of the week, because Leo will be coding everything tomorrow,
Okay.
if anyone's
Thank you, Dawn.
interested.
Yep, I would be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris with the Charity CFO. I'm sorry we're unable to make your meeting this month. We are going to be presenting the September financials, as we are still in the process of reconciling and closing the month of October. Before we jump into that, I would like to just give you an update on the audit. We are expecting the audited draft this week, along with the 990 draft. So hopefully those will both be finalized by the end of the week, and the 990 will be filed on time by the November 15th deadline. We've also been working with Andrew and the team on the FY26 budget, and that is well underway. I'm going to jump right into the September financial reports, and we'll start with the statement of financial position. Had a very little change in cash during the month, just a decrease of $2,000. Little changes in assets, except for prepaid expenses. There was an increase in prepaid expenses, and that was due to the EU 2028 venue deposit of $56,000. Total assets at the end of September were $3,040,000, up from the August close. Liabilities fell slightly during the month, largely due to a decrease in accounts payable, which is just due to the timing of payments, and also a decrease in the credit card balance. Total liabilities at the end of September were just over $333,000. And our total net assets were $2,706,000, up from $2,560,000 at the end of August. Looking at the statement of activities, we'll look at this a little bit closer in comparison to the budget, but our total income for the month was $470,000, and our year-to-date total income is $3,608,000. This is right on track with where we were at this point last year as well. Total expenses fell during the month. This is largely just due to the timing of conference-related expenses, but total expenses during the month of September were $313,000. Year-to-date, $3,355,000. And we do have an income during September of $147,000 and a year-to-date income of $265,000. We'll look at the budget summary right now. Total income this year to date, $3,608,000. We are currently over budget by $227,000. You will see that our training income has been updated. We did receive that information from Andrew and the team. So this is our accurate year-to-date training number as of the end of September. Total conference income, we are exceeding budget expectations by $345,000. Total donations slightly under budget expectations of $126,000 under budget. I will say we did receive during the month of September $72,000 in project donations. That was from AI Security Academy, Security AI, Lasso Security, among a few others. So that line item, we are currently exceeding our budget expectations for the year. We had budgeted for $150,000 year to date, and we are at $218,000. Community outreach is currently running under budget. Conference-related expenses are currently running over budget by $109,000. I would not read too much into that because, again, a lot of that has to do with the timing of when we pay expenses and when we budgeted them. We did our best to seasonalize the budget, but there are some variances there with the timing the payments are made and when we anticipated them being made. Again, total general operations, we are just slightly over budget year to date, slightly over budget on local chapter expenses, over budget in payroll and payroll related expenses, and that's been a trend this year. And project expenses are still significantly over budget. Again, we have increased that project revenue significantly during the month of September, though. We are looking at a bottom line of $265,000 income this year to date. And we have budgeted for an income of $304,000 at this point during the year. So slightly below where we anticipated being. Jumping to our dashboards now, we have just over 5 months cash on hand. And our current ratio, this is our current assets compared to our current liabilities. We have an 8-to-1 ratio, so very healthy there as well. You can see our budgeted revenues and expenses versus actuals. And then for our statement of functional expenses, we are at just under 82% in programming, 15.8% in admin, and 2.3% of our total expenses on fundraising. We are still projected to be just over $2 million in cash on hand at the end of 2025. And that does not include our investments in CDs, which are just under $600,000 at this point. Probably do need to look at maintaining more of our cash on hand in the money market account as opposed to the checking or savings account. I know that's something Andrew has actively been working on. And as far as the cash flow projections, as soon as we finalize the FY26 year budget, we'll be able to extend our projections out till the end of FY26. I hope you guys have a great meeting, and thank you very much for your time.
I just want to highlight that this is the first month that we've had the correct categorization of training income, so that's nice. We hope to have that continue. Secondly, we are, as they're saying, about $200,000 down in corporate support, but they're mostly due to be renewed around now. So I have a program underway with Christian to try to get those notices out, and we're obviously in the process of trying to recruit that position. So we will see how that all turns out. So I have some hope we can get back to where we were last year with corporate supporters, because it is something that the people who have supported us through thick and thin, they like us and they want to be involved in our community. And I think given the opportunity, they will continue to support us, but it's difficult if they don't have a renewal notice in their hand. So yeah, are there any questions about the finances?
Andrew, can I ask about the EU tax outstanding? Is that the Barcelona conference VAT?
Barcelona and Lisbon.
Lisbon, yeah. And basically, when we have our new OWASP EU entity, when approximately do you expect that to be cleared? I'm just hoping if we can get it off our accounts.
Yeah, me too. The reality is that we need to work with EU VAT Desk to VAT Desk EU, to actually register for those things and make sure that our liabilities are paid. I don't think we can do it through our existing entity. It's non-functional.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I see Diego has his hand up.
Actually, it's me.
Who is that? Avi.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Waiting for you. Andrew, thank you. That's confusing. Andrew had mentioned about the recruiting someone for the director for the corporate support. That's realistically going to take several months at least. We can't wait that long. What are we doing in the meantime?
Well, as I said, we're trying to move the spreadsheets and the information that's getting stale in copper into Monday CRM with an appropriate sales process being set up to eliminate all the spreadsheets and to do some automation. At the moment, the main thing is to get the renewals out to make sure that the companies that we know that will likely support us again have an opportunity to do so. But in terms of doing sales leads and recruiting or finding new corporate supporters, I think the main thing is to get the new director of corporate relations in as quickly as possible.
But even for renewals, you need somebody to go off and handle them.
That's why I think now that the AppSec DC is over, Heather, who's acting in the role, will have additional time that she hasn't had until the end of this event. And I think we'll probably be able to cope, and I'll be helping there as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
And for the AR aging receivables, I still think the 91 days and over column is still essentially high when you look at that total. That's what, like 40% of that total?
Yeah, so some of this is actually with the 2024 audit, we've actually written off one of these that's really old. We don't believe it to be collectible. And it is it's also partially timing as well. So we will be going through. Dawn has collected some of this,
Yeah,
and it is
I can't see the bottom number on this report. What does it say?
108,000.
Yeah, it's lower than that, because I already know the 26.5, if you could scroll up. 26.5 came in, numerous of these already came in.
Okay,
So,
great.
Yeah,
Great.
because I think, like I said, this week alone, I got about 50,000 in from this report alone. So it's definitely.
And this $100
Thank you.
credit is almost certainly a mistake or a fee or something. So we've done some adjustments as part of the 2024 audit to true up the end of last year.
Sorry, Andrew. Anything that's below, you'll see like this $41. These are bank fees that I do like quarterly with Andrew, $10, they'll get taken off. But a lot of these funds that come in, I'll have a better understanding after Leah updates everything I sent her. And then we start again on Monday. And unfortunately, the close of the month and the meeting don't kind of line up that you get the newest information. So if you want, what I can do is once she closes it and I have it, I could just send an updated copy every month to the board. If you want a copy of the report to see what's accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's simple. I could just send one to everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
did I see somebody's hand go up or no? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I will pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. We'll get into some new business here. I think the next item up is the summary of the closed board meeting. I wonder if I can ask Steve or Sam to provide us with a synopsis of what the board has been meeting about in the last couple of days.
Yeah, we've had a 2-day closed board meeting and working session on the first day. A lot of things to discuss internally, debate internally before bringing things up to the public. We had a number of discussions on the existing elections policy, as well as the committee policy, which needs to be revamped a lot. There was a suggestion made by Avi to potentially combine the elections policy with the working group policy.
Committee.
What did I say?
Election.
Oh, I'm sorry, dyslexic. Committee policy with the working group policy so that we can avoid confusion. So we'll be working on that. There's a number of action items that the team will be working on to flesh out those policies. We also discussed a potential new policy. For lack of a better word, the name might change in the future. Mission Impact Reporting and Executive Review Policy. It is a mouthful. What it essentially means is that how are we going to measure the impact that the foundation is making in relation to its mission, and how are we going to and continuously evaluate the executive director in moving the foundation toward that mission. So the policy does two things, and the overall sentiment of it is that it's good. I think it's ready to be published for community review at this point. Again, the name of the policy is subject to change. If you have suggestions, we would love to hear that feedback. That was the end of the first day, at which point we adjourned, had lunch, and we had a mind map that a prior board had created on all of the things that regardless of whether it was strategy or all the things that the foundation supports in support of its mission, et cetera, and how all the various things relate. And we took a number of hours that first day and decomposed this really large brain dump from a prior board and try to articulate that in words, not just for us, but for future boards, that they can iterate that on that in the future. What will likely happen
is that the impact report that Andrew mentioned earlier, a concise version of the board strategy will likely be in the future impact report. Anyway, it's a really great document. It's not quite ready to be shared yet, although it's getting close. And the idea is that yes, we will end up sharing that with the community. Day 2, which was today, we ended up discussing a lot of the OKRs and KPIs in terms of baseline KPIs, quantitative and qualitative KPIs that we have in place today. We discussed the let's see. Oh, and then we discussed the strategy itself, right? And kind of came to a consensus that that is exactly where we want to be in terms of a strategy document. I think it's at a good point right now where at the end of this year, and when we've got 2 new board members, I believe, joining us January 1. I believe it's in a good place so that the new board could kind of take this document and kind of move that forward. So with that, Ricardo?
Thank you very much, Steve, for giving us a summary of the work you guys have been doing there. And I see you've been working the board really hard, because I noticed that no one's smiling. So they must have really been grinding away. And yeah, oh, there we go. Okay, great. Maybe I was just reading too much into it. But yes, thank you so much.
Maybe a semblance of truth.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there because of work conflict, but I will definitely see everyone in January. All right, let's move on to the next item, if no one has any questions. Okay. There is going to be a discussion on the community policy process review. The board will discuss the policy review process, including how the policies are reviewed, who's involved, and how the feedback is incorporated. So our discussion aims to ensure that transparency and community involvement in policy development. One issue that needs to be addressed is how best to move the policy through drafting, pull request issues, and processing feedback from the community. Another issue is that replacing the policy team seating requirements with a working group model. I do like the latter of that. Who brought this item?
I did.
Okay.
The reality is that this particular policy was designed primarily to restrict feedback to just OWASP members, and I think the general consensus is that we don't get enough feedback anyway, but at the same time, it needs to be more effective. And one of the problems that we have is the review team has 30 days to review all comments. So it can theoretically take 21 days plus 30 days, 51 days to do the review. What I'd like to do is make it explicitly parallel so that the review team during the review phases are reviewing commentary as it comes in and addressing it as, on a weekly basis or so. And then they have a week to tidy it up to present it to the board. So it in total should take no more than 30 days to get completed policies through to the board. One of the other parts of the problem is the policy review team is comprised of 7 members who are seated on January 1st of each calendar year. This has never happened. We've never had that many people. We've had previous very effective teams of 3 or 4 people. And I think that's a nice size, and making it a working group, which is to deliver the current set of policy reviews and incorporate leaders in that process and members in that process through the working group model is the right way to go. So I'd like to see the policy review team just simply change to a policy working group, and that recruitment is kept at a minimum of 3. I think honestly there needs to be a representative from the staff, there needs to be a representative from the board, and there needs to be a representative from our community, at least one of each. And that should be enough to get the actual policy review through, because we're generally making, like, if you look at, for example, the feedback given here, we're given relatively decent feedback, and thank you, Bill, for providing so much feedback. It's going to be fun putting that together. Yeah.
All right.
But effectively, one of the problems we've got is that this doesn't represent our current process. It's not delivering on time, I think, and I think we could do better. Dawn?
One person mentioned to me that when they went to review this or add stuff, that they couldn't see prior comments, which they found to be an issue. And I don't know if it's the way they were viewing it or not, because sometimes someone else gives a very good comment that they would like to add on to, but they couldn't view it, whatever way that's set up. So I don't know if that's standard or how the person was looking at it.
I think honestly, the problem we've got is that we have too many different places that you can provide feedback. And I think if we just centralize the process around GitHub issues, that will make it transparent and open.
Okay, just want to put that out there.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a good call. Question for you, Andrew. If
Yes.
someone were interested in the working group, how would they go about, joining in on the fun?
Well, I had asked for volunteers to come forward in Slack, but I think we probably do need to do a mail out to the members as well to encourage membership to actually participate. There is a view that essentially leaders should be members, and members are the ones who are. These are our policies that reflect our bylaws and reflect our the way we operate. So members should probably be on this particular working group, but the working groups themselves have no requirement to be a member. So it's one of those things we should probably be recruiting from our members, but not denying people who are not necessarily, because I mean, it goes to the void of the board once it's actually presented. There's still members making policy at the end of this process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I do know that Harold and Bill, who was a previous member of the policy review team, Harold, do you have any comments on the process as it stands?
As it stands currently?
Well, you're involved in the current round of policy review. I mean, basically, I know that I think, Ricardo, you're the one who was pushing for a concurrent policy review to reduce the overall time.
Mm-hmm.
But effectively, and if Bill wants to chime in with his thoughts as well, I'd be very happy to hear from him.
Sure.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
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 So yeah, the policy review committee, when I was involved with it, we had some pretty lively debates at times, depending on what was being proposed. Some things were pretty easy, like if it's just correcting grammar or something like that. And then some things were outlandish, and everyone was in consensus we wouldn't do it. So, but then there were some things where we had some pretty lively debate. So I think it's really important, no matter what you do, is to have this policy review team or committee or working group, whatever it ends up being, to have a very nice, diverse representation from active people in the organization, committees and projects and chapter leaders, because they all come with their own view, and sometimes the policies that we're talking about will impact some of them, but not all of them. And having that diversity of opinions really interesting. And there were times where I had my initial opinion changed based on what someone else said. So I think it's an important thing to make sure that you have those folks in there. I don't know if everyone's aware of how it actually works. Is we solicit a bunch of comments from the community, and they write them all up, and then we're presented with those. The team then reviews them, and then we decide, like, yes, this is something we should change, we agree, or it's something we should reject, or we like the idea but not entirely, and so we'll adopt some of it. And so but then this team basically filters then the things that are acceptable, and then they get implemented. And it's a nice way to for the community to take all those comments and then distill them into something that then becomes policy. Now, there's not a lot of lively debate though, right? Like you can't necessarily always, at least currently, see what everyone else has written as a policy comment. So it's hard then to build up that conversation. I think if someone, like if like I submitted a bunch of comments, I haven't gotten any feedback. I don't know which ones you're taking and which ones you're rejecting. If we wanted to have more debate and conversation around those things, we'd have to change this process slightly. I think the problem if we do that though is that then this whole process becomes very long, and then it's death by 1,000 cuts. And then you'll be talking about a single policy change maybe for a year or two as everyone's trying to come to consensus. So I like sort of this model where it's someone definitively, this team gets together, they hash it out, they agree, they don't, they get some consensus, then they decide. Anyways, so those are some thoughts off the top of my head. Is there anything I can answer in particular about it?
Do you recall, was it 5 people we had on our team?
Yeah, I think there was about 5 or 6.
5.
I think you'd probably want maybe at most 7, just like our board, as you're well aware. 7 people's a lot of opinions to try and like wrestle into one direction. So 7 I would think would be the most you'd want. But you definitely would want someone who's like a chapter leader, someone who's a project leader, someone who's a committee leader, or working group leader, and then maybe someone from the board, and then maybe someone from staff, and have those folks in there. So I don't know, 5 to 7 would probably be a good number.
Sounds really good. And thank you in advance for volunteering.
Okay, so I mean, what I'd like to do is put the community review policy up for review after we've done the director's review, and maybe in the same time that we actually do the director's, the OKR type of policy that we're looking at. So it gets put into the queue of things to be reviewed. Are there any objections to this?
Not from me.
Okay. So once we've got this director's policy through, which is the next item of business, I believe, then we can get going on this. Back to you.
Yeah, actually, the next item is the membership policy to add benefits for distinguished lifetime members. So we're supposed to discuss a proposal to modify the membership policy to add specific benefits for distinguished lifetime members. So this change is to recognize and reward long-term commitment and contributions to OWASP. I don't know.
That was me, Ricardo. That was proposed by me. But before we go into this, I see Dawn has her hand raised. Dawn,
Just on
did you
the,
want to ask a question?
sorry. Just on the, prior about the policy stuff. I don't know if Grant told you, we need another person for the compliance committee, and that's the board's decision. So when you're doing all these different things, you might want to put, that needs to be added to your list. Because that's a board pick prior, how it was done, the compliance committee. We need a third person.
Is the compliance committee still around? I thought we had.
It's a compliance team now, but it's realistically only Grant.
Okay.
The reality
we
is
have Vandana just joined, but there's really the other person is not available, it seems. So it usually should be 3.
Okay. Got you.
All right. Just add to your list.
So it tends, we do encourage people who've rolled off the board to become parts of the compliance team because they know our bylaws and policies really well. Roland told him.
Well, Bill can join back, and Avi's, rolling off. So there's 2. Just a thought.
I don't think anybody wants to have me on the compliance committee.
Yeah, there are whispers in the room.
Okay. Okay, so Sam, the thing that I think that you were mentioning was essentially applying the leader discount for distinguished lifetime members for the AppSecs. What other benefits were you thinking of?
That's correct. This is the one that I wanted to propose because at the moment we, apart from a thank you piece of glass award that we give to our distinguished lifetime members, and membership, we do not provide any other benefits. But obviously, the people who have received this award are extraordinary members of our community and who provided long-term commitment and delivered lots of value to our foundation and to our community. So I wanted to propose that to make it to modify the policy, membership policy, and add a add a benefit to distinguished lifetime members, granting them also a lifetime leaders status. That will help them, for example, to obtain things which are things like leaders discounts and other leaders benefits.
I second that.
Do you have that written down yet, or it's just?
No, I don't want to propose a motion just yet. I just want to propose it to the board and discuss and see what is the general feel. If that modification is going to find some support with other board members, and maybe they can propose some other benefits that they feel we should be offering to our distinguished.
I support that too, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the next meeting, I will then create a motion to vote on to modify the policy, and again, the policy will need to go through the usual process.
Yes, perfect. Great. Any more questions and comments about this one? I'm sure we'll be discussing it at the next board meeting as well. Go ahead,
Sam,
Andrew.
When you're actually deciding on those benefits, please make them operationalizable. One of the problems that we might have is that it might be really good to have a whole bunch of these benefits, but they might be really difficult for us to put into practice. Like, for example, sending stuff overseas from the United States at the moment is extremely costly. We're actually doing something. Dawn's had to organize sending a award that someone won through the hands of other people to
It's
be able to
Sam.
get them. Yeah,
Sam is the one who's doing it for me.
It's me. I'm acting as a courier, so I'm gonna take an award for our New Zealand leader and ship it from London because obviously
That box
from
that
the United States are extortionate.
The box I sent you for the co-marketing, when all was said and done, it was $1,200 for shipping.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Welcome to our new reality. We need to find a bit. We do need to find a better solution operationally for swag and awards.
But in Europe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacy, tag, you're it. We already listed you. Well, she could find it.
Yeah, throw it my way, Dawn. I can do the European ones.
Cool. Okay. I think that one's done. I'm all in favor of it. We actually did help a distinguished lifetime member come to this AppSec DC by offering them a leaders discount. So hopefully they're there.
Great. I think we can move on to, excuse me, the next item, which is a discussion on the Board of Directors Code of Conduct on election campaigning. So this discussion needs to be had to the extent that the OWASP Board of Directors Code of Conduct should be updated to include guidance on election campaigning. This follows recent events during the 2025 director elections, where some candidates engaged in campaigning activities that raise questions about fairness and adherence to ethical standards. Whom brought this discussion point up? Do you want to kick us off?
I sort of did. I'm not the only one. There was there's several elements here. One of them is that we don't have any policy whatsoever restricting directors from saying whatever. And every time that a director has chosen to do it, there's been a fair amount of community pushback. It's like the AI policy that I talked to Ricardo and Steve about, that we need to have one, because the absence
Yes.
of one is worse than not having one. It doesn't really matter what it says, it needs to exist. So what I'd like to do is I am actually more in favor of directors having the stated position that they can campaign and use their own judgment, and we trust their judgment for so much more. But in the absence of a policy, it's really hard to hold that position because, well, there is no policy.
Yep.
Avi, you had your hand up?
Avi?
Yeah, I don't know if you hear me, the microphone?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'll speak into Sam. So I just want to clarify, because there's two parts to that. Are you talking about candidates campaigning for their own election, or are you talking about sitting board members endorsing candidates? I think both of those need to be addressed. The first one
Yep.
should be addressed in the election policy, not the code of conduct for the directors. Whether directors can or can't endorse, I think you're right, it should be stated one way or the other. That should be in the code of conduct.
Yeah. And then the second part of that is accurate reflections of campaign positions and accurate reflections of, you know, contributions to the community and things like that. I think there was a very active discussion between a few candidates around what they've actually done for the community, and some discussions that some of it wasn't truthful. I do think, again, because we don't have a policy that sort of says, you can promise lemonade out of the taps. And of course, you're not going to be able to deliver that. I do think there needs to be some sort of thing. Maybe the director's policy is the correct place for it, that campaigning must be truthful. I don't think it needs to be more than that.
I agree, and I think that needs to go into that policy as a revision after the policy is passed, because I think there's a lot of complicated nuance of how to define that, on the one hand. On the other hand, the director's code of conduct wouldn't apply to candidates that are not directors.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
So do we need a
Ex-secretaries
candidate
for the win.
policy?
Yeah, so that needs to be, I think, a piece of late feedback for the director's policy. I will put that in as a separate
would
line
like,
item.
Andrew, with your permission, I agree that should be in. I'd like to punt on that, because I don't think we have clarity on how to define that. So I'd like to pass the policy with the feedback that we have, and then work on a revision. Once we figure that out, it's a relatively small addition. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, it is.
Consensus that
Yeah,
this
I mean,
is
it's
okay?
a one-line addition.
But then
but
the campaigning bit, where would that go, Avi?
Of the candidates would be in the policy.
The
What we-
election policy?
In the election policy. If we want to specify that directors can or cannot endorse candidates, that can go in the code of conduct. And I think it's a very straightforward, almost binary statement.
Yes.
I think it goes without saying the staff should not be campaigning for any particular any particular candidate. We run the elections. We need to be viewed as neutral. We should be campaigning for people to vote. That's what people on the staff need to do, and I'll just put that into the staff handbook. Dawn.
Like you said a few minutes ago, just to throw this out there, election policy, several people asked me on Slack, and this is the first time in all the years I've been doing this, if I checked everyone's bios to make sure they're correct. The answer to that is no, and to be honest, I wouldn't know how to do that. Like, how do I prove they did these things in other countries and stuff? But several people asked that question this year, just to throw that out there.
I think an open question, and one that I, as a as a staff member, can't really do for you, is what is the board's thoughts around whether or not candidates can campaign for another candidate? I think, honestly, I've said what my preference would be is that we have to rely upon your judgment. But what's your preference?
About directors endorsing candidates?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this year I did not endorse anyone. and at least publicly anyway, because I didn't want to cross any kind of line, because I think depending on who you talk to, that line is in very different places. So I didn't do anything at all. Now, I think there's a conversation to be had for directors who are, and I'm not talking about myself in this case, but like directors who are going for reelection, and whether or not you've honestly enjoyed working or want to continue working with that individual in the future, right? I think I made a statement a year ago, a year or two ago, with Diego, with that, framing. But personally, I would rather not see directors endorse any kind of candidates. No. That way it's very, very binary.
Yeah, I totally support you on
Is that
this,
your opinion?
Steve.
What's
And
that?
I support you on this, Steve, as well, because I think there is a kind of inherent conflict of interest and bias, because we already have the board seats, the director seats, and endorsing anyone while we are in that position is just not appropriate in terms of that conflict.
Right.
Because we're kind of conflicted with ourselves being on board.
Right.
So again, hypothetically, if somebody's not going to be on the board for which they are endorsing a candidate, would there not be a conflict there? No, I'm putting it out there. And full transparency, I did post publicly. I actually had a hard time with this. People asked me a lot, so I did actually post an endorsement. In previous years, I was not public about it because I was on the board. This year, after actually talking to several people on the board, Andrew and others, I think it was tricky, and I tried to be very careful about how I phrased it. I tried to. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but that's the question. If the issue is, there's conflict because you're going to be on the board with them, then you have gray areas.
Yes.
So that's why I'm pushing you about that conflict.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point to consider, right? So obviously, as you mentioned,
At that point, you're on your way to being a community member, right?
Ex-board member, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, obviously, we can debate whether or not the director's policy would actually apply, and maybe
it does today. So it applies. The question is that conflict that we're stating, and I absolutely see that, and I agree with that. It doesn't actually apply. That doesn't apply.
Right. Exactly. So I think, are we in at least an agreement that we need a policy revision to account for these types of issues?
Yep.
Okay.
It should not be a very long and complicated thing.
I don't think so.
But then there are two different things that we were discussing. So there was an elections policy, which is applied to the candidates, and there's also a board code of conduct for the board members.
Code of conduct, yeah.
About them endorsing, endorsements, not campaigning.
Yes.
I would argue that in the case of the board member who is rolling off, we should not complicate the policy by making it an exception in that case.
I'm perfectly, I agree, I could absolutely take that. That's absolutely fair. But then you need to be very clear that it's not because of conflict.
Sure.
Because we're stating not allowed, and that's okay.
So Diego, as someone who ran, and I don't know if any of the other new board members are on the call, I'll be very interested in hearing your opinions on this as well. What do you feel?
If you would like to make a statement, yeah.
For the record, one of our newly elected board members, Marissa Fagan, is here.
Hi,
Great.
everyone.
Hi, Marissa.
I am agreeing with Steve as well. I would support marking so that everyone would decline making any endorsements. I think it's simpler, more straightforward. It gives us clear guidance. And I do believe that I was one of the people that Avi endorsed. And I would say, is it a question of whether Avi's endorsement is the reason that I was selected? Or is Avi just very,
I have that much power.
is
no.
Avi just like,
Maybe you could have got some more votes.
I think it was more that Avi read the writing on the wall. He could read the room and was good at guessing who would be selected. I don't believe that the endorsement was, had a critical role to play. And so I think in those terms, let's just remove that as an option and everyone decline doing any endorsements. That would be my preference.
Okay. Thank you very much.
What's that?
Is Kelly there as well?
Yes, she's here.
Oh, she is?
Yes, no? I heard both.
She's on the call, but I'm not sure if it's her or an AI assistant. I'm not sure.
Ah, okay. No worries.
Kelly, are you
all right.
there?
Oh, maybe not. Okay.
No.
Great. I am much in favor of keeping things simple myself. So I'm much in agreement with Steve, and I'll just leave it right there. I realize I didn't give Diego a chance to say anything if he wanted to. No? Okay.
So one of the things that has torn apart other communities is the idea of a slate of electors coming in to do a hostile takeover of a community. You may want to deal with that as a separate issue. There hasn't been an issue for us, but certainly it might be worthwhile for the incoming board and the Amsterdam meeting to discuss whether or not slates of directors can be promoted. I think honestly, it has torn other communities in our situation apart, where boards have tried to do rearguard actions to prevent that slate of candidates being elected. The reality is that it probably, again, we need to have rules of the road before we actually get to the situation.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Anyone else before we move on to the next subject? I want to keep things moving along. We're getting into time here. No? Okay. The next is a discussion on the proposed director qualification and election policy changes. Avi led a proposed change of the director qualification and the election policy for board discussion, creating a new draft policy for consideration, which is due to replace the old elections policy. The new one has received feedback from the community, which has been incorporated into the current draft by the policy review team. The new policy proposes stronger qualifications for candidates, conflict of interest clarifications, and ranked choice voting, STV. The director qualifications in the new policy is not applicable to the 2025 elections for director qualifications, but the new seating procedure will be used in the 2026. It says directors, but I think it meant elections. For the 2026 directors. And this is a motion. So let's see if there's anyone who has any comments, questions, concerns about this one before we vote on this one.
I was
One
really hopeful
question.
that, sorry. I just really, before it gets going, the policy review team hasn't actually had a chance to meet to go through the review. So we're not in a position to vote on it today.
That's what I was going to say.
We probably need to punt it to the November meeting. I'm not saying table this entire motion. I think there needs to be some discussion. Avi, you've done quite a lot of feedback with the actual directors. At the end of the day, basically, I have provided the feedback as a link for people to see whether we're doing it. I need to divide this up a little bit more into individual chunks so individual phrases can be done, and then meet with my fellow policy team members. But the reality is that it does change a number of things for the direct commitment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this as conditional into the new board of directors commitment. It is an operational document and therefore not subject to the policy review. but at the end of the day, this policy does require a background check, which is something we've never done before. It was my intention to actually do that this year, but at the end of the day, basically, obviously, this policy needs to pass.
Yes.
So, Avi, what with the discussion that you wanted to have, with the actual director qualifications, I think the only thing is, do I do the 2025 one or the 2026 proposal? I think that's the main piece of information that I need to go forward and get the board, the actual onboarding of the new directors happening.
Sorry, I don't understand what the question was.
Okay, so I can stick with the commitment agreement that we've got that doesn't have a background check, or I can actually go ahead and implement a background check on the idea that this policy is likely to pass in some form later this year. It's just that if we wait until the very, like if say, for example, this is voted in November, I won't be able to do the onboard, or Dawn won't be able to do the onboarding until December, which leaves very little time for them to complete it. So I sort of need an indication today whether I'm doing all of the elements of this policy with the view that it's likely to pass without saying pass, or that the motion has been done.
That's a good question, and I'd say that it'll be a bit hard to enforce that right now before it has passed officially. That said, is the background checks the biggest sticking point there?
It's the biggest single change. There's no other real changes there that would be significantly different to the way we've done it in the past.
I would suggest to try and move forward with that on an opt-in basis for now, so you can get that started. If somebody refuses, then, well, I would argue that it can be seen as an operational thing that should be done anyway. We're just clarifying that this is a thing that has to be done. Does anybody dissent from that?
No.
Background checks is just a normal operating procedure and it's operational.
HR procedure.
It is.
Exactly.
I do have a question on that. I know it's going to go into policy for, like, say, the background checks. So I don't know how each country does the background checks, if you're going to go based on a credit score or whatever you're going to do. But what happens if someone gets elected, or someone who's just been elected, and they don't pass a background check? Do they get bumped out? Like, so.
Yeah, I actually have an answer to that, because background checks is a very wide bucket. It's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
What those background checks are we define it as operational. Which checks the executive director decides to apply. Now, hypothetically, the basic background checks, and there are, by the way, agencies that will do this for you worldwide, whatever country you're in, so you don't have to worry about that. But let's say hypothetically you do criminal background checks. I mean, this is like the bare basic. And somebody doesn't pass that because, hey, it turns out they're actually wanted in 34 different countries, and including Finland. Well, I mean, we don't need to really argue right then about if they're going to be allowed to be seated or not, because I think that at that point we have very clear, actionable options.
Okay, all right.
Right.
The board
So-
has a mechanism in place.
We have a mechanism for something like that. Now,
Yes, we
from there to, which background checks Andrew decides to put in place, there's nuance, there's a range here. And perhaps I'd suggest start with the simplest basic. And this is just a suggestion, right? A proposal.
Yeah.
Proposing that you start with the simplest basic, get that in motion, and then you could have the agency expand to more checks as you see fit later on.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'd probably suggest is I'll put it as a conditional that we may come back and do background checks if this policy passes at a future point in time, but I'm not going to delay the actual onboarding process much longer.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew.
You could start with that process because it does take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a few comments about background checks. I do them at my work. So professionally, every single person who joins my company goes through them. Some things to know. International background checks can take over a month. Some places, it's illegal to do a background check, at least some types of background checks. So like Poland, for example, you can't do, if we have someone from Poland, you can't do a criminal background check on them. It's illegal. So you have to accommodate that. And then I would really keep background checks to criminal things, and then you'll get findings occasionally, and then you have to make some sort of judgment call as to whether or not disqualifies them, right? Sometimes we get employees who have speeding tickets from 10 years ago. We still hire them. If they have some sort of financial fraud type crime on their background that they've already done their time for, we still won't hire them, right? Like, you have to know what is something that excludes them or doesn't, because it'll turn up various things. I would just stick to criminal and then the watch list sanctions kind of list. I wouldn't do credit checks, and I wouldn't do drug testing, because that tends to disproportionately affect certain segments of the population. So some people have credit issues because they're in a tight month-to-month, paycheck-to-paycheck type situation. I don't think that should exclude them from serving on the board. Anyways, so I would argue against anything other than just criminal, and the only findings there would be things that are serious of a financial nature, and then just, are they on a sanctions list somewhere? Like, we're not allowed to hire them, basically, because it's against federal law, at least in the United States. I would just do those. And you have to give yourself at least, I would say, 2 months. So as soon as someone wins the election, I would start their background check, basically, so you know that'll be done.
Okay.
So my concern, Andrew, is, so first of all, I'm gonna contradict myself. I'll first start off by saying that I think that all the newly reelected and newly elected board members should absolutely have a background check. Yeah, you can make it opt-in if you want, but in theory, it should be done. It's an operational matter that you should absolutely have a process and procedure in place. With that said, because we don't have a process and procedure in place, because that procedure is not transparently available to the community, I would actually opt out of such background check, because I do not want my personally identifiable information, such as my social security number, just randomly put in a spreadsheet or wherever it's going to end up being, right? So unless those procedures are documented and there's governance in place, I would actually hold off on actually conducting them, just for de-risking the foundation in the event that information gets compromised.
Absolutely. I was talking to Ricardo a little while ago, and there are portals that we don't have to handle the actual personal information. We would just sign the individuals up via email address, and they would complete their background check with the information given to the background check company. But yes, I do believe a process needs to be documented, and then what happens in the case of a failure or some sort of thing highlighted. At the moment, the policy says that it goes to the chair. It doesn't say what happens after that. At the end of the day, the community might have elected someone who's the most popular candidate, and all of a sudden, they're no longer going to be on the board. How do you handle that? I mean, essentially, at an operational level, do we? I think in certain countries, in particular Europe, you're really not allowed to say anything. And so the reality is that it becomes up to the individual director who's going to be disqualified to message that rather than the foundation. So there's a lot of steps here that is missing, and I do appreciate Bill's input, because quite frankly, I think this is one area of that policy that is, I think, could be stronger.
I disagree, because almost everything that was mentioned there should be operational. We might want to document that better as communication for people, what's going on with my stuff. But those background check agencies will typically have that information documented to share. Now, it's really just a question of documenting what we're doing and how. But
Yeah, the way that Checker works is that you, as Andrew said, they just go off an email address. So I just put into their system, I want to do a background check to this email address. It sends the request off to that person. They click the link, they go to the portal for Checker, and then they fill out all the personal information that the company will need to be able to perform the background check. And then it stays inside, at least with Checker, that's the way it works, it stays inside the Checker system. Now, anyone who has access to the Checker system, so as the foundation doing it, whoever within the foundation has access to Checker can go and see, quote unquote, your social security number and all the information that's been provided. So you are, in some regard, trusting that foundation employee not to abscond with your identity. I guess there's two other things too. I forgot. Background checks also typically can include your employment history and your education. I don't have an opinion one way or the other if we should check their resume. I think it was brought up earlier about candidates and should someone go and investigate what they're claiming their credentials and everything are. One way you could do at least the employment and the education is through the background check. At least with Checker, it offers that. I will caution though, those two things are most often the thing that cannot be completed either because the university won't confirm the degree or the previous employer or current employer won't confirm their employment. And then you're stuck with where you get this partial result and then you can ask, like, take a picture of your diploma or take a picture of your pay stub to prove that you worked for this company. I would probably suggest not doing those two things, but you could do it if you know that you're going to have a little bit of friction there.
Let me ask you a question, Bill. As a CISO and former treasurer, would you be in favor of a financial background check for the treasurer role specifically?
I could see where, I could see where you would maybe want to do that because you do have signing authority on hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. If I was on the board and I was voting for it, I'd be okay with like a credit check for them. Okay. In general, I'm against it just simply because I think it excludes certain population. But I think for a treasurer, it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Good point.
Thanks, Bill. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that, Board. I really do appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. So I think that was a great discussion. I'm going to keep us moving because we're about 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. I'm going to recommend that we push the motion to the next board meeting, and maybe we can have a bit of discussion as well if no one's objects. Sorry.
No objections.
No objections, but you do need to table a motion, so it'll have to be voted on. There doesn't need to be a sponsor or a second for this. It just needs to be a vote.
Okay. Give me a second. I got my list back. Same order as before. Excuse me, Steve.
Excuse me?
Tabling.
We're going to table the motion.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Excuse me. Okay, Harold.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Evie.
yes.
Diego.
Yes.
And that's a yes on myself, Ricardo. And that's tabled until the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry, let me just get my place back here. Next, I think our final item on the agenda today is the discussion on the chapter leader orientation course. Sam will discuss the chapter leader orientation course and training with a view to starting a working group. It's a great idea to create the course. Working group activities and proposed change to the chapter policy. Should the policy be changed to make the course mandatory for new chapter leaders? There is a link here.
That's right, and I think Andre
Does it
already
work?
opened it. Thank you, Andre.
Page can't be found.
Yes, I believe we started at the last board meeting, again, run out of time. The idea here is to make sure that we train our leaders. And the reason why we need to train our chapter leaders, as an ex-chair of the chapter committee,
I see a lot of problems and a lot of staff wasted time and a lot of requests coming to the foundation because at the moment when the chapter leaders become chapter leaders, they receive a pack of documents containing our policies, and all they have to do is just tick the box to say, yes, I've read everything, I agree with everything, I want to be a chapter leader. However, what happens then is they don't have a clue what they're actually supposed to be doing because they haven't read anything. So to simplify this procedure, I believe that if we introduce the onboarding training, that it will become a prerequisite, not just a tick in the box, to make sure that the prospective chapter leaders have actually gone through the training course and they understand OWASP's mission, how OWASP works, our community guidelines, our policies and procedures, their responsibility as chapter leaders, and things like, for example, why they should be promoting OWASP membership at the chapter meetups, but also things like resources which are available to OWASP chapter leaders, things like how they should contact the OWASP Foundation if they have any problems, and a lot of guidelines and advice on how they should grow the chapter, how they should run the chapter meetings, how they should seek sponsorship, because that is kind of exists at the moment, and it's buried in the chapter leaders handbook, which we know we've just received an update that it was actually updated, so we have a new version, but also lots of policies. I think by creating videos, video format is much more easier to consume, and by providing a quiz at the end of the course to confirm that the candidate leader has the understanding is the right way forward. Andrew, can you please scroll down to the list of videos? Because obviously that will ensure that our chapter leaders are trained and they will run successful chapters and will contribute successfully to our community. So that list was originally created by the chapter committee members and officers. So it's still a working document, but obviously this is an outline of what we want to be presenting to the prospective chapter leaders. So we want to have a course introduction from executive director. We want to have a separate videos. By the way, before I go into the reason why we want the separate videos, is because to make the course easier to update, because there are some video modules here which talk about policies and they talk about things that are subject to change. So rather than having like one long video and then having it to re-record it and reproduce it over and over throughout the year, whenever there are any changes, we decided to propose to split it into these modules. That's the reason why we have separate videos. Okay. Then we want to have a module on what is OWASP, how does it work, right? Talk about chapters, community, projects, events, conferences, the board. Talk about what are OWASP chapters, OWASP chapter leader responsibilities and benefits that they get. We want to have a separate module, a deep dive into chapter policy. We want a separate module on chapter governance and other OWASP policies applicable to chapter leaders, such as, for example, expense policies, how to claim expenses. Okay. Then we want to have a separate video on different types of OWASP chapters, so explanation of the difference of the city chapter versus student chapter versus regional chapter. And to have a module on how an OWASP chapter should be started, and again, go into differences between the city chapter versus student chapter. For example, student chapters have an additional requirement to make sure that there's at least leader from the faculty, as a faculty member. Then we want to have a separate module on resources and shared services available to chapter leaders. A module on planning, marketing, and holding a chapter meeting or activity, such as capture the flag or training or workshop. A module on contacting the OWASP Foundation. A module on what to do when things go wrong. A module on improving and developing leadership skills. And the final module of this course will be quiz on the above content with an 80% pass mark.
Sam, we have a few
Harold has
people
a
who
hand
have
raised.
hands up.
Diego had his hand up.
I have Diego's hand raised.
Okay.
This is fantastic. I can't wait to have this. Why are we as the board involved? Do you need something from the board to get this done?
Because it's a policy modification. It's a change of the chapter's policy.
Okay, the details are not. Saying that when all this stuff is ready to change the policy that chapter leaders need to go through this, fantastic. Yes, it's a small change. All the details, we're not going to have to review all of that.
Of
So,
course.
I mean, and this is all good, but again, what are we involved here? I'm not complaining, I'm asking what's the ask.
Currently have.
Okay.
So you have an understanding what you put
As a necessary to have the.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but
Diego,
again.
you had your hand raised?
Harold?
All good.
No, same question.
Yes,
question,
so
okay.
I will prepare the motion to modify the policy and to have it go through the our review process. Thanks, everyone.
No worries. Thank you.
Avi,
Thank
can
you,
you, Sam, can you send me the link to this in Slack?
It's actually in the agenda now.
It's in the
Okay,
agenda
thank
of the
you.
board meeting, Don.
Does
I
that
can't hear you,
link
Sam.
work?
Yeah, that's where I got it from.
After this meeting, I'll talk to you about something
Okay.
else that I think is pretty cool.
I still get a 404 from it, but I probably have to refresh the page then. That's fine. Okay, I'll do that later. Any questions or comments on this discussion item? All right. Well, it's been a long day. I think we've reached to the end. Is there any comments, announcements, or any other business that we need to discuss at this point? We have approximately 8 to 10 minutes left in our time. I see a hand raised. Is that Dawn?
Yep. Just quickly to all the current, or the board members for 2026. I spoke with Ricardo. We're gonna get you all together once I have the logo and everything, and we're hoping we can get you to do a video to kick off the 25th anniversary that I can post on January 1. I will be reaching out for all of you for shirt sizes and stuff, and once I know the color of the logo, I'll be sending everyone shirts. But then once I have that, then we'll figure out a day and time of when we can do it that works for everyone, because it'd be everyone at the same time, and what topics you want to talk about for the January 1 announcement. Just an FYI.
Great. Thank you very much, Dawn.
The only other announcement is we do actually have a leaders meeting tomorrow. If the board could come, that'd be awesome. But it's primarily for a listening session from the leaders to the foundation and some present information from the foundation to the leaders. But more than happy for you guys to please come. Your leaders, you should be there.
Is it public that anyone can join?
I'm not sure of any AV being provided, so if I can't find a link, I won't be there.
Okay, so I'll let Lauren know. Maybe someone could tape it so we have it, so I can listen to it.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. Okay, we've come to the adjournment section. The next general board meeting. Well,
No, I have to second. I second Ricardo's motion.
To be announced, so.
so the next general board meeting is on November 25th, 2025 at 12 p.m. Eastern. Is that the right time?
It is.
I thought we pushed it earlier.
But that would be 6 a.m. for Marisa. I believe Marisa is in Pacific time.
Okay. Okay, so we're fine with back at the usual time of 12 p.m.
Yeah, it works for me as well. It's like 5 a.m. my time.
Okay, that's fine. So do I have a second?
I already called dibs.
You called dibs? Okay. I assume that was Abby. All right. It is moved and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Andrew, if you wouldn't mind giving me a call after this, I would appreciate it.
And to the board, don't send me big bar bills. Thank you.
And I
Too late.
apologize